Hello, coaches. Hello, my friends. It's been a little while since I've been live in this group. I hope you are doing well. Wishing you so I nearly forgot what day it is. That's right. I think it is a Tuesday. I don't even need to check what day it is. No, it's a Wednesday. There we go. It's a Wednesday. On this fine Wednesday, I'm here to share with you some of the insights that I've been. A lot of insights have been coming up in a lot of the coaching sessions and the coaches that I've been working with. And there's some major insights that are really important as a coach or a consultant that you need to know in order to support your clients, for them to live their best life, in order for them to get value from your services. And one of the big ones is your clients need to understand that their goals can be one of the biggest hindrances. Their goals, and this might sound ironic, it might sound a bit strange, but at some point you can be so attached to your goals that your goals, instead of bringing you joy to your life, they now actually degrade the quality of your life. And I just came off a coaching session with one of my clients, and they were experiencing anxiety and worry about them not achieving their goals. Now, you've got to ask the question, if you get to a point where you're insecure and you're worried about whether or not you achieve your goals, the goal has just gone from being a thing that's enriching your life to now a thing that's diminishing your life. Now, you've got to get curious about how is that possible? And this happens a lot. This is when someone becomes so attached to a future imagined idea that it now affects their present state quality of living. Now, this is really, really important. A goal, you need to understand what a goal is. A goal is just an idea. A goal is just a thought. It's a future-based thought. It's using the power of our imagination to dream up, to conjure up some future possibility. That's all a goal is. There's a difference between a goal and an intention. And the difference between a goal and an intention is where we inject energy and focus into that possibility. And an intention is pure in the sense that an intention doesn't contain attachment. Intention doesn't contain fear of what if this doesn't happen. Intention is pure in the sense that we're just putting out a positive possibility for something to come into our experience. We're not attached to it. We're not reliant upon that to make us happy. We recognize that we're not lacking anything fundamentally in terms of we are already whole and complete. We need to, and what an intention does is that it acknowledges that we are fundamentally okay with or without that situation in our life. And so when you're able to come from that place, which is an intention rather than an attached, I need this type goal, you're able to transcend the anxiousness and the pressure and the worry about whether or not the goal is going to happen. So I think that's a really, really important acknowledgement, or a really important understanding, is when your clients, or even when you have attached to your goals so strongly that you feel like your fulfillment or your happiness or your sense of joy in life is now dependent upon a thing that's in the future. You've now outsourced your quality of life to a thing that doesn't even exist. You've now outsourced your quality of life to a thing that lies somewhere in the future. So you're now playing this game of imagining some scenario that's going to happen in the future, and then you're now tying your happiness to this thing that doesn't even exist. So we're kind of playing with illusion, and we've played with illusion, and we've created this imagined experience that's now detracting from our quality of life. So I just help my client realize that the goal in of itself is fundamentally powerless. The only thing that has any power is the intention that you put in, which is what's the energy, or what's the expression you're putting into the things that are going to bring that goal into existence. So for example, let's just say, for example, you want to attract more clients. You could be focusing on the goal of, I need 10 paying clients, I need 10 paying clients, I need them, I need them, I need them, I need this result. If I don't get this result, then I'm a failure. Or you can come from the perspective of, my intention would be to have 10 paying clients. I don't need them. They're not completing my consciousness. They are not adding anything to me. I get to experience that, and I don't need it. It complements my life, but I don't need it. So as soon as we come from non-neediness, we now move into this really powerful creative zone of placing intention into the world with absolutely no attachment to whether or not that happens. It's like planting a seed and being willing to water it, but not relying on whether that seed grows any fruit or not, but enjoying the process of enjoying showing up and watering that, knowing that most likely if we continue to water it, at some point it's going to grow fruit. So that's really what we're doing with all the goals in our life, is planting seeds and watering it and enjoying the gardening of life, enjoying planting the seeds of your life, and not being attached to which one of those seeds eventually germinates and grows fruit. So that's the first thing. The second thing as well is fear. Fear disguised. Fear drummed up as worry or anxiety or overwhelm or pressure. And what I mean by that is the achiever's word for fear is stress. The achiever's word for fear is overwhelm. And when we actually get to the bottom of it, the only thing that we're ever afraid of is we're wanting to avoid a feeling. That's really when people talk about being afraid of something, they're talking about, I don't like this feeling and I want to avoid the feeling. So for example, people that are afraid of public speaking. I was having a chat with a client today, and she had a little bit of anxiety about public speaking, and she felt like she wasn't quite good enough, and she was worried. Now, she said she was afraid of public speaking. Now, it's not a fear of public speaking. Right? There's some emotion or some feeling that people are wanting to avoid. Now, that typically, when it comes to public speaking, that emotion that people are wanting to avoid would be humiliation. I don't want to be humiliated. I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to have the feeling of shame, or I don't want to have the feeling of looking bad, or I don't want to have the feeling of unworthiness, or I don't want to have the feeling of making a mistake. So there are certain feelings that people aren't comfortable with. And so right now, for example, I could forget my words, my phone could fall over, I could say something funny, I could slur my words. There's a whole range of different things that could happen right now because we're live. And I've learned to be okay with all of those experiences. Now, admittedly, if all of a sudden my clothes were to fall off and you to see me naked, I might feel a little bit weird, but I'd quickly realize, okay, that's a feeling. What's the feeling I'm having right now? And what's the relationship that I've got with my feeling? So really this conversation comes down to what's the relationship we have with our experience. And as Sid Banks said, if people alone could learn to not be afraid of their experience, that alone would change the world. So really what we're talking about here is being okay with your experience. It's fundamentally learning to make friends with all possible experiences that can flow through your consciousness. That is true emotional resilience, and that's true emotional mastery. And when you get to that point, you're not afraid of anything because you know that no experience can hurt you. Now, I know that that's easier said than done. I actually went out into actually I'll show you the view here behind, if you guys can see that. So this is, that's Bingen Beach. You can see it's beautiful there. That's Bingen Beach. So I live on the beach, and I decided to go out on the beach the other day at sunset naked. And so I decided that I was going to go out there naked, and I kind of felt a little bit weird about that because I know that, okay, what are people going to say if they see me naked? But then I realized, no, that's my thinking. That's a feeling that I'm not yet comfortable with, so I want to break through that feeling. So I went out there and I stripped my clothes off with my partner. We went into the water naked, and I kind of felt a little bit weird. And then I realized, what's the big deal? Everyone's got a body. Everyone has the same equipment. If you're a woman, you've got obviously different equipment than a man, but everyone's got the same equipment. And I really thought that through, and I went through this experience of just surrendering and letting it go and having the experience. And I felt a bit weird, but then I surrendered to that and realized, yeah, it's all good. I was walking back in, people could see me naked, and I'm like, what's the big deal? People were smiling. Some people didn't really care. In fact, most people didn't really care. So it's just another good example of what we dream up in our mind isn't really real. We usually dream up the worst case scenario, but ultimately what we need to recognize is we have a relationship with ourselves and we have a relationship with life. And as soon as we improve the quality of that relationship with all those uncomfortable feelings by allowing ourselves to feel them, we we remember that there's no experience that can harm us. There is no feeling that can damage you. There is absolutely nothing that could ever take place inside your consciousness that is actually going to tarnish or damage the truest essence of what and who you are. So that's a deeper exploration around how do we let go of that uncomfortable feeling. Now, the last bit here that I wanted to share, which is another insight that one of my clients had today, was around the pressure of getting things right. Now, I'd love to know if you've ever experienced looking at making a decision. You might have had lots of decisions that you could make, and you might be experiencing overwhelm. Oh my God, there's so many decisions I'm going to make. What am I going to do? I've got to get it right. What if I make the wrong decision? Now, this situation of feeling pressure and feeling overwhelmed and feeling like we've got to get something right, this is an example of us using our free will or freedom to now create some kind of unrealistic expectation, or just create a series of expectations around what we need to do with those choices and what we need to create with those choices. So what we've done is we all are fundamentally free. We're all completely sovereign. We have an infinite range of choices. And then what we now do is we say, oh my God, I now feel so overwhelmed by the fact that I have so many choices. And now we can label that freedom as pressure. Oh, I've got to get it right. Well, if you can actually see that you have ultimate free will and you can pick from any one of an infinite number of possibilities, you realize that you have freedom in this moment and in that moment to then make a new set of choices and then to make a new set of choices. So sometimes what we do is we think that this one choice is going to lead us down a path that's going to almost like be predetermined the rest of our life. What we fail to realize when we're in this pattern is that no, in the next moment you can make another choice, and in the next moment you can make another choice, and you continue to make an infinite number of choices to course correct as you go through the journey. So a lot of people, they feel stifled by having that much freedom because they then fear, what if I make the wrong decision? My life's going to be fucked. And in reality, you can't fuck your life. You can just make a series of individual choices and course corrective moments throughout the rest of your life. So there's never one choice that just determines the rest of your life. You'll have an infinite number of opportunities to course correct in your life. So as soon as you see that, as soon as you see the power in that sovereignty or that freedom, you let go of the overwhelm and the pressure of making a decision. And so instead of this decision being monumental and having power over you, you realize, no, this is just one choice. I'll have another one, and then I'll have another one, and there'll be an infinite number of other choices for the rest of my life for me to continue to course correct. So I think that's a really important acknowledgement as well. So those were some of the things that were coming up, and I think it's really important for us as coaches. We need to recognize the fundamental ingredients of most of the problems that our clients are experiencing, which is, number one, imagination. If you're not aware of the fact that you're using imagination sometimes, you can take yourself off on a daydream and experience anxiety and overwhelm and worry and not even know that you're doing it. Right? It's the tool, the mental faculty of imagination. To look in the reverse, if you're not aware of the fact that you're using memory, then you won't be aware that you're doing things like sadness or depression or feeling, guilt of things that happened in the past. So we need to be aware of the tool of imagination, which is taking ourselves into the future. We need to be aware of the tool of thought that's called our memory, which takes us into the past. And if we can just distinguish the fact that both of those are a tool, then that in of itself lets us drop the imagination and drop the memory. It's almost literally like, imagine that you're looking through your photo album, and you're looking at, which is just memories from the past. Now, there might be some photos there that you don't particularly have the best fashion sense. It might be 10, 20 years ago. It might be one like me, for example, when I used to be in my early 20s, kind of looking a little bit drunk with a beer in my hand, slurring my words. And I might look at that and cringe and go, oh God, what was that going on? Now, you can look at those photos in a photo album and you can look back and cringe. And you can think, get taken back to that moment, or you can judge that. But really, all that's happening is you have a relationship in that moment with a photo. You have a relationship with a piece of information. So we need to recognize that at all moments, we just simply are relating to information. We have a relationship with all pieces of information. So it's not the memory that's the problem. It's the relationship we have to the memory. So you could look back on that with fondness. You could look back on that with judgment. But ultimately, there's a relationship we are forming with the memory. Now, that's one way of breaking it down, is you could realize, oh my God, I've got some really bad relationships with the previous memories that I have in the computer archives of my mind. Now, that's one direction you can go to try and resolve. We might call that resolving trauma or letting go of the past. Another way of letting it go is just to recognize that it's just a memory. So it's not even a real thing. It doesn't actually exist. It's just literally like opening the photo album and then realizing, oh, that's a photo. It's not real life. It's a photo. I can close the album and just put it away. So nothing to deal with. I don't need to go and try and, change the photos and try and develop my relationship with all these photos one by one. Just recognize the whole lot is a photo album and it's not real, and put it away. So that's another powerful realization when we get into the deeper, you might call it deeper self-realization, deeper awakening, deeper consciousness models, is realizing that even our memory is not real. None of that's real. Our imagination is not real. The only thing that's real is right now in the present moment, what's the sensory input that's coming in. Now, even that you could say is not even real, because we're distorting that information, we're filtering it through our human senses. So I wanted to leave you with that to help you distinguish where in your conversations with your clients are your clients using their imagination unresourcefully and they don't even know it. Where are they using their memory unresourcefully? And helping your clients come to the level of awareness where they realize they are using the mental faculties of imagination and memory unresourcefully, and they don't even know it. So I'm going to leave that with you. I'd love to know if there's any particular insights here that resonated, anything in particular that was helpful. And also, I want you to question every time your client comes to you with goals, and even your own goals, what's the level of attachment that you have to your goals? Do you feel like you're playing the game of I'll be happy when? Like someday, one day when I achieve my goal, then I'll be happy. As opposed to the goal may or may not happen, and I'm going to enjoy the process of creating the goal anyway. So that's, in my experience, that's a far better game to be playing, which is goal or no goal, let's enjoy the process of working towards that. It may or may not happen, but I'm going to bring a level of enjoyment. I'm going to bring a sense of fulfillment and play to that process. So not being attached to, I need to get my goal, because unless I get my goal, then I'm a success or a failure. It's like, no, the goal is an idea. How about we enjoy that entire process, independent of whether that goal ever comes into fruition or not. So that is the liberation and the freedom when we can unhook ourselves from goals. We enjoy life. And the great thing about that is when we're enjoying life, we have a greater probability of creating our goals rather than stressing about creating our goals. So that is I think it's probably one of the most misunderstood parts of the personal development journey, is we're told you need to have goals. There's all the statistics, you've probably heard about the Harvard research study that said that the 3% of people that had so many millions of dollars, there was the 3% of the Harvard graduates that had, when they surveyed them decades later, they had 97% of the wealth. Now, and they said it's because they had goals. And it's like, well, you might say that that's true, but I don't necessarily know that they'd be any happier, right? The attainment of your goals is no representation of whether or not you experience happiness. Success and happiness have nothing to do with one another. Absolutely nothing to do with one another. The only thing that determines happiness is, does your expected reality meet your current reality? And if it does, you're happy. If your expected reality is up here and your current reality is here, you won't be happy. So that's the only thing that causes happiness. So that explains why someone can literally be homeless or have nothing or haven't achieved any of their goals and be stoked with life. Because what they expect for their life is what their life is. There's no mismatch. There's no disharmony with their reality. Their reality that they want is the reality that they've got, or the reality that they are accepting. The reality that they are accepting of is the reality that they've got. So as soon as you can start to accept your reality, you experience happiness. Not from achieving goals or needing to change something, but it's actually adjusting your perceptual reality so that it matches what you've currently got. That's the key to happiness. So that's it for today. I thought I'd just drop this quick video. And anyway, as I said, I'd love to know if there was any insights. Was there anything that resonated? Was there any particular takeaways that you found helpful? If so, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I'd love to know. And that's it from me. I'll give you another look at my beautiful view here. That's Bingham Beach. And this is my little workstation here. This is where I do my thing. Anyway, that's it from me today, guys. Wishing you lots of love, wishing lots of success in your coaching and consulting practices, and have a great rest of your week. Much love, guys. Cheers.